Yo, check it out. Want to know if the price of those wave runners is too good to be true? Or if I Wear My Kicks 49 is truly selling dead stocks? Or if that Jordan 1 Royal box is original? eBay checks. See that little blue check mark? Behind it is a team of independent authenticators who check. And we mean everything. Every tongue, check. Every toe box, check. Every corner of every box, check, 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 check. Every logo, every label, every lace loop. Yeah, it's checked. The luster of the leather, the topography on the tags, to the straightness of the stitching on the sole. Everything you can see, and even some things you can't.
Really?
Then they tag them, log them in the system, box them up, and ship them out, with no cost for the buyer or seller. eBay checks, so the moment you open that box is as real gets.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Knights Arena Valorant Challengers. It's the last day of the first split, and it's our last match as well, as we're ready to watch M80 Esports make their debut against OR, who's coming up from the open qualifier, but we should bring in our casters so we can talk about it as a group. Hopefully they were hot mic'd as they made that comment right as we were coming on air, but I've got Sully and I've got UpMind here. You know, it's a rough first match for OR Esports. Actually, if you look at their schedule, they have the opposite of Shopify. So Shopify gets to start out against two open qualifier teams. And Dazzle said, hey, that might help us get started. You know, we have some tape to go off of with these teams, helps us get the rust knocked off, eliminates first match jitters. OR is playing against M80 and then the Guard back-to-back weeks. That is brutal, Sully.
Yeah, and those are the two teams that like a lot of people are saying the number 2 teams in challenges. And they're saying, I remember there's a tweet from Leap, and he's just like, yeah, no, why even play? It's M80 versus the Guard Grand Finals. Like, it doesn't even matter. So OR, being our second matchup and being the last team with a prayer to be the only open qualifier team to win a match in week 1. It's a rough start for them. I think especially with the Guard next week, it's rough givings for them here at least.
As we look at these two teams, though, you look at M80. Gus, what makes M80 so good? Because we don't really know much about this specific team, but the core obviously has some history.
Oh, just a little bit. It's not like we're looking at the core 3 in terms of John, QT, Nismo, and Koala Noob all coming from Ghost. For those who were keeping up with Challengers last year or with VCT last year, Ghost were the lineup that people were looking towards to actually make it to Champions, to make it towards that end of the season with a high hard mark, but they just couldn't do it in playoffs. And it's the same thing with a player like Xander. Early on last year was on that V1 team who was destined to make Reykjavik and also bombed out in playoffs. So if you have to say one thing about M80, it's a team that have a whole lot of potential when it comes to the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, it's shaky, to say the least.
Yeah, I would say when we were looking at the teams last year, the two teams that stood out the most, especially looking at Stage 2, would be EG and Ghost Gaming. They were two teams that just played the game a little bit differently. EG was super innovative, did things that we hadn't seen from a lot of teams. I think there's that one infamous play with Calm on Icebox, wall banging from tunnel or from tube to the top of site on B. That didn't really happen with other teams in the past. But then Ghost was just a team that played the game right. They weren't doing anything crazy flashy. They just played the game the way it was meant to be played. They played as a group of 5 players. It wasn't 5 individual pieces just doing whatever they want. It was a cohesive unit that moved together. And a lot of that was the in-game leadership. A lot of that was the structure behind the team. And a lot of that has stayed the same with this M80 roster. So M80, they look very good, even though we've never seen them play. They've made some changes, obviously, but I don't think the changes are downgrades. There may be lateral moves or even upgrades in some ways, Sully. I like the way this roster is shaping up, even though we've never seen them play a match.
Yeah, I think you bring a lot of like the individual or not like the better players from rosters between EU's older roster and Xander's older roster when he was kind of just like a haphazard play playing with random bugs. So you kind of just bring in a lot of firepower, a lot of experience. Like EU, I remember, was just like this like crazy unfaced Sova. Like nobody knew what this guy looked like. We just knew that he was insane. So you bring in a really strong Ghost core, which has a lot of good fundamentals and probably a lot of good ideas to bring to a new edition of EU and Xander. I think that's probably the most beautiful thing about this new roster is like Ghost Gaming had, like you said, very good fundamentals. It had enormous potential. And I think what they need now is just new, fresh ideas. And they've brought in EU and Xander to join alongside that Ghost core. And not to mention, they've even brought on Happy, the former CSGO player, as well as the coach. So there's kind of like an endless flow of ideas for this team right now.
Well, we'll take a look at the maps, see where we're going to be going. Looking at this OR Esports team, though, it's not all doom and gloom. Obviously, they made it here, but it was very difficult. The journey was not easy. They were quite literally the last team that qualified. They beat Sonics in a best-of-3. It was a tough match. They effectively killed Sonics by winning that game. Sonics
within
loses
hours.
and immediately just, we're done. I'm a free agent now, looking for opportunities. Best of luck. Everyone's off the team. Because they were riding on making it to Challengers, and they fell short, which is a different story in and of itself when it comes to Sonics, because that felt like their storyline all throughout last year with VCT. But OR Esports beats a couple of pretty decent teams to get here, so we can't necessarily push them aside. It's just a matter of, okay, yeah, you beat some decent teams to get here. Now you're kind of rising to the cream of the crop, at least in North America. M80 is a team that when they were the core, when the whole team was together with Ghost, people are like, this team could play Tier 1 next year. Like, if they could get through into the partnership, this team is good enough to compete at an international level. And you can see the maps here. We've got Haven, then we're going to Pearl, and then Icebox will be our third map should we need it. I asked you this in the first series. Gus, do you think we're going to that third map, or do you think that M80 potentially can take it, or even OR can take it 2-0?
I mean, this is actually a bad group of 3 maps for OR Esports. I mean, you look at Haven, high percentage, that's all you need to know. Pearl, same exact thing. I mean, combined losses between Haven and Pearl, I think, is only 3 out of the 20 times, out of the almost 25 times that they played these 2 maps combined. And of course, going over towards Icebox, we can't have any sort of expectations purely because they've only been playing Tier 2 teams at that level, and I think those who haven't qualified. But in terms of Haven and Pearl, I view OR as the same level as like a Shopify Gatekeeper team, but for the Tier 2. They beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. They beat the Squirrel Warriors. They beat the Moon Raccoons, right? But they can't beat the Turtle Troopers, or they can't beat the Breakthroughs. So it's a weird spot to even begin with this best of 3, where OR, we just don't know if these maps, of course, if they are comfortable or if they're even comfortable against this quality of play.
Yeah, I do have a slight counterpoint. The sense of that OR Esports, I can't agree with the census of that they beat teams that they're supposed to beat, because, I mean, this team is just like, we'll bring it up in here in a second, especially with this map pool. It's like, it's the same thing with Turtle Troops. It's that when I watch OR Esports, I think, wow, this team is cracked, but they're cracked against Tier 2 teams. But there's just so many small fundamental things lacking that I think that we saw in Turtle Troops that we're probably going to see here as well. So I can't have the confidence that we did with Turtle Troops to say that, yeah, Turtle Troops beats the team that they should be. I don't think OR Esports always beats the teams that they are supposed to be, and they don't always, and sometimes they upset teams that they're not supposed to be. And there's one key reason why they do that, Bog.
Yeah, there's a player in specific that stands out that definitely makes them a little bit of a difficult hurdle for the Tier 2 teams. The problem is, you look at this player, we're talking about Zeldris. He was actually the top performer coming out of the open qualifiers in almost every meaningful stat category for someone who's trying to do damage. Obviously, you can have a higher cast percentage if you're a support agent. You can have a higher clutch percentage if you're playing an initiator. But if you actually look at Zeldris' stats coming in from the open qualifier, he was #1 in KPR, ADR, FPR, all of those things. That's literally, he's reigning king in all of those categories. You can see it here. He's got 745 rounds played. Sully, that is #2 of the teams that played. There's only one other team that played more rounds, if I'm not mistaken, than they played, and yet he still is #1 in KPR, ACS, KD, FKPR, and ADR. That's insane.
No, I think the kills per rounds is probably the most obscene stat line I have seen ever. I mean, there are people that play that many ranked rounds and don't have nearly that kill per round. Like I am at like a 0.5 kill per round in my ranked games, and this guy's playing in probably the top level of Tier 2 North America and going a kill per round. And again, this isn't across a small sample of rounds, folks. This is 2 open qualifiers. That is probably 20 different teams, 60 different maps, 745 rounds. That, and maintain the stats as well of an ACS and KD, first kill per round, ADR. You're looking at someone that has the hardest carry potential ever, and I think that's where I see OR Esports winning a lot of their games. A lot of it falls on this one kid, and he does a lot of the heavy lifting. And that's why, Gus, I don't say OR Esports is a team that beats teams that they should loses teams that they should lose to. It's this guy alone that is a big decider if OR Esports are going to win the map. If he doesn't perform, I hate to say it, there's very little chance that OR Esports walk away.
I'm going to say this. Numbers are fun. 745 rounds. If you assume average map length of 20 rounds, that's 37 and a quarter maps. If you even think that every series goes 3 maps, that's 12 and a half best of 3s. That is so much play. That's more than we see from most players. That's more than we'll see from any of these players throughout the group stage. That is so much play. So the fact that he can maintain those numbers is obviously promising. Yeah. But again, you got to Barry Bonds that and put an asterisk on it, because we don't know if he's going to do the same thing now that he's not facing off against purely open qualifier teams anymore. Right. And again, starting out against one of the better teams coming into the group stages, one of the stronger teams, and then having to follow up again next week, there's got to be a mental game going on inside their heads like, okay, we made it this far. Let's not be the team that's just happy to be here. Let's be the team that excels. It's got to be so hard, Gus. I'm looking at the first matchups, and it's like, how do I, as a player who is new to this level of play, realistically overcome this hurdle?
It's hard because, again, you just look at the fact that OR, they are consistent. I have to counter you guys here. They have beaten most tier 2 teams. Most of the top tier 2 teams, they can't make it past. Again, your Turtle Troops, your NSIC, when they were at the top, they could. But everyone else, they beat 100%. There is no chance that anyone below their level can beat them. We haven't seen it. Team Wreckaroo, when they were right in the middle of their run, this team had just first started. They were able to beat them. Whatever. What I can even tell from OR is that they are decent at just playing up to their level, and with a team like M80, it's a lot more random. I think M80, this is a bit of a fragile spot for them. They haven't been at full team, and if there's any team that OR can kind of grind out, it is teams like this.
All right.
We do have our agent select ready, though, Sully, so we're going to have to jump into the action and see if these young guns can do what we think they're capable of. Again, it's OR facing off against M80. The first map is going to be difficult, but we hope that OR is at least able to claw out a victory here as they are facing off against stiff competition. Gus, Sully, it's all yours.
No, Sully, talk to me. What were you going to say, bro?
You're saved by the bell, man. Saved by the bell. Yeah, I mean, I was going to play devil's advocate. I feel like you have some merit in the terms of, maybe it could be M80. Shazam was talking about that G2 game. They hadn't played in months. It's been months since M80 played, and Shazam was speaking about the nerves that come into this first match. But I hate to break it to you. I think that the Scrim Bucks do not lie. And M80, they're one of the favorites to win out challengers as a whole, and so I think everyone should have high expectations. The big question has been for at least this M80 roster, and you talked about it yesterday when we were just chatting about the game, is that it was a heavy chamber meta for that Ghost core. And
Absolutely.
So Koala Noob has had to shift back to a full duelist time, and it looks like John QT as well is not going to be playing chamber really too frequently, and it's going to switch to a more traditional Sentinel role, just given off these compositions. I think changes have been made for M80, and I'm in kind of agreement in the sense that OR could upset, but it's just Scrim Bucks don't lie. I'm only banking on the fact that, well, it's first match jitters, and that's where OR Esports could really pull off an upset.
Yeah, again, we're looking at our comps. Again, you shouldn't expect anything from M80, period. Xander, we were expecting him to play into more of a controller role onto this team, and that's, of course, exactly what he's doing, playing Omen up on this map instead. The Silva pick is actually a little bit out there. We maybe could have expected Fade on this map. In fact, this is the very first time in Challengers that we are seeing Fade, the very first map where Fade is being played. Lear playing it out on the OR Esports side. But again, M80, they show up for the very first time in pro play. Let's see how they do in a best of 3 against OR.
And a very fast look here as well from M80 as 5 players are already grouped up. This is a heavy fight, but it's not a nade-seize combo. And instead, OR are just going to try and maintain this control. And M80, they sit back and they wait. They're not really pressuring this too much. They've baited out the early set of util, and they begin to late clear this part of the map instead. That fault line will then force Lear off the angle. But I mean, we're 20 seconds in. They've only thrown a single shock dart.
Right. No other piece of information or peek anywhere else on this map. All 5 going over towards that A side. You're going to have just the contact peek over towards Garage. but it's only one person in the back of B here. This is very possible for M80.
Alarm bot will trigger off that smoke, and there's a gravel as well towards that right side of sight, I'd imagine.
Ooh.
Doesn't get anything, and that's a great fault line in as well to try and delay.
Yes!
VNS here, looking for anything he can, and the rest, they just go, what? Koalanu with a knife? What is happening here on the B site?
I mean, starting off challengers with a bang! Koala At least the momentum's there for his team. Maybe for the rest of this round, it's a 2v2 now off rip, but there's no way that they know where EU is. EU, back at spawn, has the crossfire.
And there's one player, Zel just lurked up all the way towards long. There's nothing here to watch him, and he actually has a great chance if Lear can just hold out here.
Oh no, the C's worked! EU, he's trapped! 1v1 against Lear, and Lear just cannot capitalize. And Zeldris, this defuse will go down. It's down to just a few milliseconds.
What?
Why? How and why?
And he gets
clutch
both.
for Zeldris, and he still gets both kills at the end.
How does Zeldris, what in what world is he given a chance to just sit there and stick? And he finds both kills in the end. What a start to M80 and OR Esports. A knife into the mix, and then do you call this a clutch? It's more of a ninja than anything, but they were so obviously aware that it was coming in.
Prepare yourselves, ladies and gentlemen, for one of the games of all time. This is started off with a firecracker, and M80, they're the ones that have continued to invest. They're going to continue to pull off a few firecrackers in the middle of this round two. They're in the middle of B. Nobody is in the back of B covering. It's going to be a full 5v5 retake for OR.
Continue. They continue to push here, right? They're going to keep on putting pressure here towards the right side of B site here. Yeah, flash here as well. They're pushing it with just stingers. And M80 on this eco, I mean, this is a stinger meta, and they're putting in work.
Oh no, come on! Yeah, Koalanu just gets the two immediately around the corner. The stingers have come out to play. M80 with the full force, they make it work.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a stinger meta lately, and for M80 to put pressure, I mean, I think the key thing, especially with this composition, is just rush straight into the B site, close the gap. And that's what they did there, putting OR now onto a full eco round. I mean, I guess this is the actual anti-eco round, right? M80, they're going to work with the guns, but yeah, I mean, OR Sports, I'm going to get that confused. It's either OR 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 Sports.
OR Esports.
I always mess it up, but
you always pronounce the E, but it's E in Esports.
Esports, there we go. Yeah, I mean, coming in hot just into this first map. I think that last round, though, is going to temper them a little bit. With just the pistol to work with, now it's just, okay, we've kind of been humbled for a second. We won the pistol against this crazy M80 roster.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I think for a lot of teams, especially OR, who have never had any players in this kind of stature of Valorant competitive leagues.
Not a single one of the 5 have played VCT.
Yeah, it's going to be about how do we manage our confidence, how do we manage our emotions, because a lot goes in. And what you don't want happening is what happened to Turtle Troop, is the inevitable crumble, it felt like.
Placing swarm grenade.
This round, I don't think realistically we should see that quote-unquote crumble. But OR are setting themselves up nicely. 4 players, almost 5 players. One of them making that lurk back, that rotation all the way back towards their spawn. And a few kills going back and forth. A few. Just one going back. But okay, OR. Just the momentum that we want to see from players like VNS, from players like Jonas 6, who did not have the most successful open qualifiers. Yeah. Who were very highly rated players before that tournament. I mean, again, especially Jonas 6, especially Pure VNS. One of these players were on a top academy roster. The other one was already playing semi-professional Valorant with Anbox. OR, they need all the motivation in the world, all the confidence in the world to get all 5 of these players in good spots.
Yeah, now it'll be guns picked up here for OR Sports, so I'm curious as to what we're going to see from both of these sides, especially M80, a team that we haven't watched at all. So far, it's been kind of like very slow default work into these rounds, and wait to see what OR Esports, there we go, do first. And so M80 with these two specs, this is going to be close the distance again. Koala does have that Bladestorm, and yeah, another heavy mid focus. Jonah 6, fault line to get that early A control, but how quick are they to deal and adjust with this A control?
Ooh. Whoa, Koala Noob once again blasting through B. They're gonna get this information too. Recon to the back. They haven't spotted him. Jonah 6 on his lonesome. Nobody catching him, but he finally gets taken down. But Nilias through the smoke with a big kill. Takes back the round. And not only that, but they've taken back sight almost entirely. Nismo is still here, holding it down. Nilias has a lot of angles to deal with. Still has to deal with Garage. Nismo is still skating around sight. Garage has been fully taken. One in the back of C. Has the crossfire. It's the Astra. Okay, yes, Nismo's still alive, but it's all Nilias. They do allow EU to go through. The Astra in the back didn't spot him. It's a free 1v3.
Listen, the only thing I can remember is how clutch this guy was. EU. Oh,
Whoa, the timing!
Gets one, no! Lear denies him. And OR are honestly an extremely solid hold on that B site. I love the way Jonah 6 kind of pivot around that back of B, avoiding Koala Noob. And then the combination with Zeldris and that showstopper as well. So many factors playing in that just made that site all the more difficult to take for M80. And we're seeing M80. I don't think that's going to be around they replicate too often. That's just their bonus. And so this one should be a little bit more of a default. Something we don't see too often here, Gus. Koala Noob has picked up the operator on the attacking side of Haven. Yes, he picks up the op, but it's so rare to see it on the attacking side of Haven.
Here.
VNS isn't going to be ready for it. Just depends on the setup. Is it going to be an instant smoke? Or not even a peak period? Again, M80. They're looking for a lot of deep contacts early on in this round. And of course, that counts with the op, but that also counts over towards A-Long.
Yeah, I like this smoke as well from M80. Ooh. From Xander in particular.
Oh.
It gives them A-Long control, and now they have C-Long control. So a lot of map control established here by M80. And you can see kind of the way OR are adjusting. They're playing really far back on these sites, not contesting major arteries of this map. And smoke towards top C-Long. M80 have elected to lean here towards the A side. They still have a Paranoia and a full kit for Nismo, but Nilias is playing really far off site. He's got 2 swarms to play with.
Big turrets destroyed.
But he doesn't have the info collecting that Cypher does just spam from heaven.
Exactly. He's not going to be able to get any free frags off of this. The only real work that he can get is either a random spray through. Of course, he still has his lockdown to try to retake with his team.
Jonah 6 as well with that Rolling Thunder. So the spike goes down here. There's a lot of retake potential. And we're going to see how M80 plan to adjust. Yeah, I think you use the Rolling Thunder after the lockdown comes in to force them back even further.
Ooh. Okay, well done, though. Has to use it because the lockdown is gone. Xander now around the corner. Has to be the one to hold it all down. 3 players in front of him. They're all going to pop, and he doesn't get a single kill. It's going to be a 4-on-4 now. Only 1 person here on site. It's going to be EU. EU with a couple shots through the smoke. Able to get 1 big one. And 2 players now remaining for OR. They have no chance.
A great post plant from M80. Aftershock first breaks that lockdown, queuing that Rolling Thunder, and Xander doesn't get tagged, so there's just a lot of site control there for M80. And a silent walk up into the A site. This is a theme for M80 here. And this is a map that they are very familiar with between the Ghost Core, the ex-Ghost Core of Nismo, Quality with John QT. This is their most played map from that Ghost lineup. And so they're comfortable on this map, and they know how to work this one out. And I think now for M80, you're holding on to ults as well now. Nismo's got his Rolling Thunder, and it's a big round between these 2 teams. A loss here would reset OR Esports. And they're going to try and contest that long control. At least that A long control here. With,
how do they...
I don't know if they want to combo. They didn't combo last time, but they do have a Season in A this time around.
Right, exactly. And they're going to have potentially the fault line or a few flashes to use. There's just so much potential with this 3-agent combo. But they're not able to do anything with it. They can't get the raise up into long. The crossfires are good here.
No, and this smoke is really messing up what they want to do out towards A. And it's an advantage smoke for both the defenders and attackers, but it's working here for M80 because they're capitalizing the space towards short instead.
Killed my bot.
The alarm bot is in a good spot.
Yeah, gets a lot of info, just the alarm bot being broken, but he's one man alone, so I don't know if he really just kind of like skeets on through, and now is in a great position with the operator.
Koala Noob, exactly. He's in a prime position with this op. So many little angles here, so many off angles from the connector from A. To try to get a kill or two on his way back, but it might be a lot of attention here for M80. Back over towards their spawn, back over towards mid, and that's exactly what they're doing. John QT back over in spawn, waiting for the cross up, but nothing comes from it. This is gonna be real hard. So many angles to clear here.
Big for one, and they know that Rolling Thunder coming to handy just at the perfect moment.
Yeah, well timed, and it clears up pretty much everyone. Koala Noob still lining up with 2 players here on site. Make that 3. Nismo does end up getting overwhelmed. EU, the 2 players in the same spot. This could be a spray down here. EU looking for the cross, and the Fade is the one to shut it all down. Is there time? Jonah 6 will be able...
Not enough.
To get the defuse. Wow. 0.08. OR back in this game by the sliver.
Leave it to me, I'll rough them up.
And it's a good round from M80, I'm not gonna lie. The pressure towards A long, and then that swings and pulls players all the way through A. Felt like everything was going well for them. But I think OR Esports respected the fact that M80 had site control and were not over eager to fight. They didn't solo swing, they played as a team and as a unit, and that's what got them the round there. We're tied back up here. Ult still in play for both these sides, and another aggressive look. We're yet to see that Fade raise combo. And they've already slipped out Xander in towards this corner. So again, map control established here, but this time it's a full commit.
It doesn't even matter if Xander ends up getting that TP. Again, just this one smoke ends up throwing off everything that they go for. Because again, if they don't push out the raise, the Fade can't do anything.
They don't text quite a bit, so they're not going to know where the pressure's coming from. They can't hear anything. They're tucked literally into a corner. And look at the control that OR Esports has now.
Whoa. Nelias wants a lot.
How far does he extend here is the question. Cosmic Divide up, and he's going to know when these rotates come.
Oh, Neely. Getting reconned out. Yeah, gonna get headshotted. Well done from EU. 2 more players over towards mid, and they're gonna get 2 free frags. M80 certainly not expecting that. Good adjustment from OR. Really baiting for that trade. Really committing solely to that trade. But here comes the rest of M80. They do get the TP back over towards 7. That's just gonna help them cross back into sight. But nobody from OR is in the back of sight for this.
Double flash and a stun here for Jonas 6 to get back into sight. And not a lot of util except for this lockdown. Can't be broken, so I wonder, OR Esports, what's the play? Are we aggressive? Yes, we are, because Pure VNS has just got 1.
They're gonna have to wait a little more, but Xander does take down just the one who was trying to be a hero, but again, 65 HP. Was Xander heard? Again, the Nanosword might have taken him. I don't really know. Xander gonna be able to take that one mid in a second. What a legend! Xander pulls M80 to a 4th, but it had to be John QT to put the stamp of approval. That's a huge 2v3.
And a massive 2v3, yeah. Xander, huge 2-piece as well. I think the lockdown is probably the key figure because Zeldris, they're not able to kind of have the tempo on this retake as they wanted. Yeah, Zell just wasn't really in a position to instantly trade Jonah 6, and that gave Xander, granted, it wasn't necessarily a 1-on-1, 2 1-on-1s, but split maybe by milliseconds. And OR Esports, timeout getting called, and I think one of the key things that they're seeing here, and one of the major issues, is this A long control. They tried to counter that last round with the Prowler from Lear, but M80, quick to adjust, swing back towards mid, get a kill, see 2 or 3 players there, and then they swing back towards A.
And you're seeing OR, I mean, slowly as mid has been getting emptied up, you've been seeing players like Nilias finally make his move, finally take up that map control. I mean, just something that we didn't see from OR in the rounds before that. Not a lot of C control, not a lot of B main control. It's just like OR only has an organized play right now, only for A main. It makes sense. It's a big spot for M80. It's a big combo that they can get with those 3 agents specifically. But OR, they're staying very safe on the CB side of this map.
First lean here from M80 towards the C side. Haunt doesn't get any info, and it's just on this eco. So M80, I think trying to just adjust this tempo and going as fast as they can, test what this C site hold looks like, because they haven't really been to the C site all that often.
Yep. It's the safest route.
Right, and I think the key thing here is it's going to switch up now in OR Esports' minds what M80 can do and what's in their bag in terms of exits, because they've just been hitting the A and B site. And this time, now they have an exit for C that OR Esports have to be worried about.
Yeah, and that especially one that OR couldn't contest whatsoever. They couldn't really see how M80 responds to any sort of util, responds to any sort of pushback on the site. So again, just the case study in general for OR, completely gone. M80 going to continue, of course, with a couple of players squeezing up back over towards Garage, but this is the start that we want, at least off of the attacking side for M80. They still have one more to go just to confirm out the half. But the fact that OR won out the pistol round, the fact that we're seeing a 5-3 scoreline, that's huge.
Nilius goes down there. I think that's perfect because he can just barely gets the lockdown into play here. So a big hold for OR Esports. Now, I'm curious to see how they want to use it, if it's maintain garage control, if it's as well planned in the same, or put it in the same spot as towards A. But this isn't the current patch with Lotus for everyone watching at home, so the Aftershock still does break that lockdown. And that's what we saw the one time they attempted a retake with that lockdown of Rolling Thunder. But it looks like for now, he's going to set up on A, and yeah, maybe a lockdown setup here, similar to what we saw in that one round they had it.
It's going to be a shock dart setup for mid too to try to take away that alarm bot. That's just going to give them a lot of space mid to lurk if it hits. I don't think it did though. Good stuff.
They're going to pressure here M80 towards A once more. I'm curious if it's going to be a similar switch up because Zeldris has gotten really deep over towards C with the operator.
They're trying to clear positions out early, but no early rotation from it.
No stars yet as well from Pure VNS. And both these players tucked towards short. I'm curious if it's going to be a fight in towards short or if they're going to pivot away and play with the lockdown. Because I think M80 are thinking that this site is relatively empty. They've made no noise.
Oh, what? Nilius has just walked through. Oh, this position is so huge. Oh, they might have seen the rifle. They might have seen the barrel. Oh, they saw the barrel. Oh, that is so unfortunate. Nilius was trying to be a rat, was trying to be in a prime position for the rest of this round to shock M80. But instead, it's going to be OR needing to save. They know they can work around with the lockdown going into the next round. That is a bit tragic, though, for the fact that they were setting up so tightly for a big retake setup and for one sneaky play in the back line.
I don't even know if it was really a retake setup because the fact that Nilius elected to just walk into short, I think they didn't expect M80 to just full walk up, and so wanted to play with the illusion that it was a retake. But M80, seeing right through it, and it's that low economy that forces this triple save. And like you said, they'll have that lockdown moving into the next, so it'll make things a little bit easier. But for now, M80 with a dominant lead in the latter part of this first half, 6-3, have put quite the number of rounds together and really are kind of dismantling these OR Esports holds.
Yeah, whenever that exec does end up happening, not a lot of pushback from OR. I mean, the rounds that we have seen, one for them has come from the retake after, not the hold.
Site here. Another push in towards C, and this time there's no operator here to slow them down. Nilius has got only a Spectre. Yes, there's a Vandal here from Pierre.
No mollies.
And no garage control as well. They're just going to put Nilius actually in this position to play the lockdown.
Okay, they're going to have one here. Koala Noob looking for some phase in BNS. That's what we wanted from BNS. To be a bit of a hero and to keep the odds even going forward. One-man advantage now, and the lockdown's going to come in, and they're going to have to abandon. 120 left in the round. And that time is going to dwindle a whole lot by the time we see M80 near a site.
And such a fast start to a halted, really, by one singular play from Pierre. And Zeldris is playing offside of A. So this is a gamble here towards C. They're looking to play a retake here towards the A site with info towards B right now. And M80, this is the first time we've seen them on the back foot in a position like this. Man down and not a lot of map control. It's going to take time to re-clear. And you don't have EU's recon dart or drone to take this space.
It's just the fact that we're seeing 4 players here for OR. 3 of them are still hugging C at the moment, just relying on this util from B.
Yeah,
you have a good spot on Zeldris.
Anchoring that A site is going to be really key. And that alarm bomb being
Love this
broken as
turret
well.
too.
I
What a
love
turret.
no. I love this trade.
Seconds left.
They're gonna pull players back towards garage window where they can maybe get a pick here.
Could work. They're going to isolate the one. Nilias had to back up. They're still waiting for that flash effect, and they just backed out. They don't even care. They're going to put all three in the middle of the C site. Great attempt just to get one pick out of it, but Koalanu does get the trade back. It's going to be one in the
10
back line.
seconds.
Jonas 6 looking to fight for his life, and the flash does end up working out. Low HP on Nismo, but Koalanu still gets a big kill. 6 seconds left, 5 seconds left. The time is done. Koalanu has no chance to win the round, and Jonas 6 still gets the frag.
Huge hold from Pure just in the beginning of this round to put M80 on the back foot. And that's the first time we've had to see a mid-round call from M80, really. They were on the back foot and they had to make adjustments. And that's where the pressure really is. That's where the diamonds really shine. And M80 just not able to stand up to the task. And so
Enemy remaining.
it keeps OR Esports economically sane. And we'll keep them with a bye moving into the later parts of this, the last round of this half. And M80
There.
back to the what works and a default.
Yeah, slow a default at that, but they want an early position back over towards Cubby. Indeed, they're going to get it. No deep smoke, though. They can absolutely play around this fade. Fade close, just using Prowler, just getting some space. Again, breach, raise, and fade. There's a whole lot of utility here for OR to try to hold back, but Koalanu just pushing it down their backs. Koalanu with a first big frag, looking for another one back over towards Hell, and John QT combines for the kill on the Lear, and M80 just continues their path of perfection. 4 players getting frags. VNS, the last player remaining, not a single kill going down. And Koalanu finally does go down. It may be the start of something big for pure VNS, but what an overwhelming take for M80. Again, just continuing that theme of perfect takes from them so far.
And that is seriously going to hurt the OR Esports economy. Pierre's going to be the only one walking away with this rifle. They've got no loss bonus added up here as well, really. M80, a casual stroll up A-long. The one time they don't smoke, and it's because they wanted to take that fight, right? It's the first time they don't smoke A-long, really. When they're so willing to take those opening duels, they win them out, or they at least force the player away from A-long. Walk up and then quality with a great entry. That will be M80 on 7-4, guaranteeing at least a half going into, or at least a win going into the second half. And OR have the Rolling Thunder. Lockdown here for John QT. 2 ultimates here in the last round that can be really decisive alongside Zeldris, who just now got his showstopper. And he has looked, I mean, I hate to say not the best, but he really isn't in a position to frag just yet.
Exactly. What opportunities have we seen Zeldris in? Where have we seen this guy take on a 1v2 or a 1v3? He's just been getting overwhelmed. 2 players here on the C site. It's going to be a big push for M80 once again, but it
It's a
was
fake. It is a fake.
towards
It's
this
a
side.
fake.
They are faking so hard here. Koala Noob's going to be the one on the front line, pulling it completely away, and it just works out. He skates back into garage, but look at this hold from OR. They're so patient.
I think they've read it. They would have. They're expecting a Rolling Thunder to be played in a fast C hit like that. So nobody moves, and they've read it like a dime.
A.
A huge read from OR Esports gives them the spike and gives them 2 kills. You can't break their spirits just
no.
yet. But
Koala
Koala
Noob
Noob
has double updraft.
wants something, and that lockdown's gonna force him into him.
Oh, double updraft gonna clear out the rest of the side here. They finally
Not
come
it.
back into spawn. Koala Noob was maybe a bit late with that attempt. And the spike is gonna go away. They don't even use the lockdown to exec into A. But this is well timed though. 45 seconds left, and not a single person from OR has budged from A.
And it's Nismo and John QT.
Classic.
This is chemistry here between these Ghost players, these ex-Ghost players. M80. Last round of the half, they get the spike down. Not a lot of util between the 2 of them. A singular nanostorm in that turret will allow them to play towards long. But instead, they go hunting. They're going to push into
What?
spawn instead. And I think
But
play
if they
maybe
get the kill, that's a
wallbang
rolling
spot.
thunder. 1 kill from Nismo here, and it works. He can back on out. That's why he wants the deeper contact, but now he's just playing that right angle, hugged up on the wall, playing the high-low with John QT. It'll be
They don't
so
have to
tough,
worry.
though. Nismo gonna be able to not get the rolling thunder out. Only gets the frag, and Jonas 6, look at his HP. 2 HP remaining at the end of the round. A sliver leaves OR. Only 2 rounds away from M80 going into the next half.
And I think OR Esports just barely scraped it through in this half. really barely scraping through. But one thing that we commented on, I think in the pre-show, is that this is all Zeldris, right? This was not all Zeldris. All of OR Esports stepped up massively in this first half, and I think they played exceptionally well to bring them to a 7-5. Granted, I think Zeldris does need to step up moving into the second half and had some great reads, particularly this last round that we just saw.
It's the attack side. You expect more.
Yeah, just to have Zeldris at
Placing alarm bot.
negative by 3 kills is not something you see too often, and really not living up to that 1.01 KPR from those opening qualifiers. You need a little bit more from him, and I think OR Esports have put themselves in a position to take this map, but it's up to, I really think, Zeldris to come alive here. He's one of the key players.
This inch up into C, it might be so overwhelming, but the C site itself is completely empty. There goes a
what a
whole lot of
combo.
util to hold off at least Garage, and it just works out for the 1 kill. It was only the 1 person that even goes there. 3 players going into A long.
Now they tuck themselves in a short here. Both Xander and Koalanu.
Oh my god, Xander.
Great smoke.
Oh my
Are they
God,
looking to
Xander.
fight? Yes, they are. Koalanu up down low. Xander up top. It's
Where
a
the
great
trades?
crossfire
No!
here.
Oh, Koala Noob. He needed a couple shots there, but the Ghost instead is going to come out to help. EU gets the frag. And same thing with Koala Noob. 8-5 going back for M80. And again, it's just the start that they absolutely needed.
Yeah, really nice holdout from M80. Smoke towards long, and Koalanu playing the high-low with Xander. Nismo in a very good rotation spot as he sent that fault line towards Garage from B and then pivots back with a flash. Yet to see Zeldris online again. One of the key players you want going into this second half to come online to give OR Esports the chance. I think we're seeing a lot of the patterns that we saw in that ex-Ghost Gaming roster. Koalanu playing exceptionally well here. And so, I mean, a lot of questions about M80 in terms of rust, haven't played in a while. They've kind of dispelled a lot of those, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
Down, C.
Playing like a very well-oiled machine, kind of living up to the hype from the Scrimbucks.
Still more Valorant to be played. Oh yeah, oh yeah. The fact that they were pretty much perfect in the scrims that we ended up seeing. Oh yeah.
Well, we haven't seen the scrims, but we've heard about the scrims.
No, we've only heard. There you go, 9-5. M80 now just need to hold on going forward. OR with a big opportunity to at least keep themselves back into this map, and a map where again M80 are just shaking off rust. It's their first it's their first game as a full 5. Again, if there's ever a chance for OR to just shock M80, it would be in their first map together.
Turn out. Placing swarm grenade.
It'll be rifles back, at least for OR. And the bonus here for M80 is going to take them 3 towards the A site instead. OR are playing a lot more cautious. I think they were expecting kind of a Hail Mary play from M80, and that's why we see the late push out towards B. Hearing that A pressure will give them the cue to push in now. Doesn't break the alarm bot, though. But they will get the plant down.
Wait, he's isolated. I thought this swing was going to come in for a second. John QT was definitely thinking about it.
Nilias is ready here for Koalanoob.
Yeah, Nilias, great spot, and is going to capitalize, unlike the KJ on the other side. This is actually big control here for OR, except for the fact that they've left B wide open.
Pretty early aftershock, but they do have at least the gravel on it as well.
They have double nanos.
4 players here. No one-way just yet. It's 4 different players ready to fight between all of these guys. Nilias the only one out of the mix.
The defuse does go in, though. There
Where's
goes the
the
nano
spam?
swarm. Are
Where's
they
the
going to be able
spam?
to take it away? The nano swarm works out, and the spam comes in for the rest of OR. It's a 1v3. John QT, no smokes, no space. OR Esports have done on to M80 what they did to them. Big round from OR to kick off the midway through of this second half, excuse me.
Yeah, really playing a near perfect post plant. With all the util layered up, Nilias finds Koalanoob. Not a lot there for M80 that they can do. Just their bonus, so we go into this one with rifles. Koalanoob picks up the operator.
Uh-oh.
And it seems they're just going to post him up towards long and then have a focus here towards A, which seems to be the right read already. A turret out from Nilias towards mid might put OR Esports in kind of a bigger default situation, but they actually want to try and ult this one. I didn't see this one.
Jeez, the ulti is so strong. Not only does it pick someone off from mid, but it gets the double information grab over an A main. Leaves OR completely scattered.
Yeah, popping out a very big ultimate. I thought they would have maybe held that for the post and just try and darted control
of
set, but
course.
they wanted the ults. And with that 1 kill and 2 major tags onto Pure and Jonah 6, this is a wounded OR Esports that have now full C long control and have quality holding with an operator in towards Garage.
I got the spike.
And this is just dangerous. OR, they've faced a completely open B site every time they've tried. And this time they're actually facing a crossfire. They're actually facing, not a crossfire, but at least one person there. It is Nismo. At least with the contact. But OR making their way up to short. They might have a fault line soon to deal with from Nismo, but it's 2 players in the back site of A. Have the crossfire. Nobody coming from long, at least they have util to cover it.
Yeah, they're full.
30 seconds here, we finally go.
Nismo's got a fault line and a flash as well to delay.
There goes a fault line. He comes out just a little late, but it still works out for the kill from John QT. John QT spraying away. Even while full flash gets the kill, and he has to get a whole lot more. 2 kills here for John QT to confirm out the round. 1 more out of the 2. 70 HP, 38 HP left on VNS, and it is John QT to hold it all the way down. 4 kills for him on the round.
A lot of key moments there from OR. But M80 locking it down with John QT. And I think that this is the first engagement that really sets the tone for this round, forcing kind of OR Esports then suddenly to play to the tempo. And John QT, I mean, he was phenomenal on the X-Ghost gaming roster, and then transitioning here to M80, he's still playing exceptionally well. Eco here for OR though. Lockdown in play for John QT, but again, I don't think we're going to see that really come into effect here.
No, but we are just going to see a fast play period. This is what you want to see from OR. Really, really, really try to switch up the tempo, make M80 sweat at least a little bit, especially on these rounds where you have nothing to lose. And they've taken up full C control. They're going to get at least the plant down, get the lockdown, should get the lockdown in the hands of Nilias, who's planning right now. Jonah 6, okay, Rolling Thunder, maybe soon.
Yeah.
But still, 5v5, look at this.
They're maybe looking to fight into towards Garage here, M80, for this retake. And this is the pivotal round. OR know what it takes to win this, and they need to win this round. A Cosmic Divide could be huge here, though, for this post plan. But these, I mean, these are short-range guns fighting down towards long, and you're up against the Oppa Koala Noob.
Oh, the op is going to be so tough to deal with. It's from a high position, too. Xander has come off of the defuse. Still, oh, so many players alive here. Koala Noob does finally get the first. Kill does go back. Zeldris, how is he getting 2 kills long range with the stinger? There goes the nade. The nade could stop. The nade could stop the spike. Indeed it does. Koala Noob doing it all, though. EU still defusing, and the wide swing will not happen from Lear. Zeldris doing all that he could to try to help Lear on a marathon rotation. OR, very close, but very far.
They get 4 ultimates online. And Gus, I think you were questioning why don't they use Nilias in that lockdown. I think the key thing is that it feels like a waste. Because then if he pops his lockdown, John pops his lockdown, and they just have worse guns.
It's
giving the breach, Jonah 6, the ultimate, gives him now 4 ultimates to play in this round. And this is it. 4 ultimates to play with, possibly a 5th with Zeldris. And is this another fast A hit? There are 4 players here from M80, and they are prepared for it as well.
4 players from M80. Again, only a little bit of util to really keep them away. But again, it is the paranoia. It is the flashes. But they're completely out and away. Not a single person from OR actually able to get up close. But that's a very reactionary Rolling Thunder, to say the least. They're trying to retake with it, too.
But they don't get into short, where I think the lockdown should be
only
going.
one spotted.
And you can see M80 kind of ready for this play in towards A short. Trying to maintain this control, so even if the lockdown does come into effect, they can still fight. Now, where's the breach and where's the aftershock?
Yep, Nismo does not have his ultimate. He's going to be able to maybe fight for one here to try to get this retake going, but M80, they had a prime opportunity with Nismo on the front lines, looking for a pick, looking for a frag to try to make their way back into the site. Fade ultimate being used too. They have the information.
It's full kit here for Nismo. He's been past the operator by Koala Noob, who has his Bladestorm and is just ready to drop. Util scattered, and there's the ult from Zeldris. Great timing to delay.
Okay, but the showstopper gets absolutely nothing. Spots one coming out of main, but he has to do so much more, and Koala Noob just shoves it down his back. Gonna be able to take down Zeldris. 2 players over to ward short, make that 3 actually, and only 1 in long. VNS getting pressured, but the grapple does go in. The defuse finally coming back. So many players in short. It's trades galore, and the defuse has to come off. 1 person remaining now, 1v1, and Xander does take it back onto Jonah 6. Such a close scenario for OR. The trades were were dwindling, but M80 still stand tall.
How chaotic of a round is that between those two teams? OR, that was the round. You had 4 ultimates. You used 5 of the ultimates that you had in your pocket in the post plant, and there's nothing. You don't get this round, and now it's 12-6. It doesn't get worse than this, and they've called it second time out here. And Zeldris is just not here in the fragging department. Koala Noob at 24. An M80 team that, you know, I guess is really good. But also questions of, is there rust? Are they nervous? No, literally not at all. Really not at all. They come in with the fire, they come in with the flare.
No, it's just the way that Koala Noob has been playing a lot of these random jet plays. It's full confidence. You can't just dash down long and not expect a trade, right? But Koala Noob, it's a lot of the random plays that he was pulling off near the midway point of that stage 2, right at the midway point of stage 2, where we were saying this Ghost team is it. We're not seeing that Nismo pop off. Nismo was pulling off 25 bombs, 30 bombs near the end of the season, but it was Koala Noob to be on the front lines in terms of those insanely flashy plays.
Yeah,
and he's not only doing those flashy plays, but he's doing it insanely consistently.
Yeah, and he's doing it on an agent that, well, he didn't play for a lot of 2022. A lot of it was him on Chamber. Now he's transitioned to the Jet. Not hopping as often as maybe some people would have expected, but he's still playing so aggressive. And when this kid is confident, we know what he can do.
33 HP left. A Koala Noob has to sprint away, but it's a quick kill to leave his team already at an advantage.
Rolling Thunder there for Nismo. EU's got the Hunter's Fury. And now they're starting to set up this kind of info tech. The alarm bot will now watch towards B. And they're going to know when it comes. They have a Rolling Thunder and a Hunter Fury all posted here towards the B site.
Yeah, that's probably the best part. EU too, coming back from spawn. He's at a perfect spot for that Hunter's Fury. I think they're waiting for that to come out first. EU pulling it out. Jonas 6 needing to run. The defuse, or excuse me, the plant will not go in. And maybe the kill will happen. Well done, EU. Still 3 remaining.
Yeah, Koala Noob is going to creep down here with Xander. EU.
Oh, Lear.
Rolling Thunder as the spike is tapped. There's the trade. Perfectly timed. Then again, Zeldris in the mix. They have the spike. They're going to rotate back here towards.
Oh, Zeldris does get the big kill. Xander just trying to do it all, trying to be a bit of a hero, just faking it though. Still going to be that 2v2. Has to be John QT to wide swing. Same thing with Xander. 2v1 now. How does VNS play this? VNS has the angle, but the double swing. Well coordinated by M80, and they prove that their veteran status really helps them out in these sort of scenarios. The first map going cleanly in their way, even though we saw a lot of battles on the other side.
And for M80 to kind of shake off any doubt, any questions of what this team could do. Coming in hot, right, off of map 1. This was a close first half, though. But I think a lot of questions were like, where was Zeldris? Why? He didn't pop off like we expected him to. I think that's maybe where OR Esports felt the fragging department fall behind. And so there were great plays from OR, I have to say. I think a lot less mistakes made in comparison to what we saw from the other open qualifier team earlier today. So there's still hope for them. I think this first map shows a lot between these two teams, answers a lot of questions, but still there's more to write.
Absolutely. Again, OR as a group, they are actually looking very well dedicated to their execs, or at least they just look well detailed on their execs. But on their defense, on those retakes, they were getting shut down, to say the very least. And just off of the holds immediately, their defense just was getting isolated. It was only 1 or 2 players just not able to do much off of the initial push. But again, what more can you expect? It's an M80 team that has Koala Noob going at his absolute best and just running it down with Jet. So it's kind of expected that those kind of defenses aren't going to work out too well off the first contact. But we digress purely because of the fact that Haven almost entirely was a bit of a stomp.
Yeah, I do. I wouldn't say entirely of a stump. It's a lot closer in comparison to what the first series was, right? So I think there's still hope there for our esports. M80 proven again that they have one of the strongest cores, and you know the scrimbucks were right. So map number 1 going in favor of M80. We still have our second map just around the corner, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break.
Yo, check it out. Want to know if the price of those wave runners is too good to be true? Or if I Wear My Kicks 49 is truly selling dead stocks. Or if that Jordan 1 Royal box is original, eBay checks. See that little blue check mark? Behind it is a team of independent authenticators who check. And we mean everything. Every tongue, check. Every toe box, check. Every corner of every box, check, 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 check. Every logo, every label, every lace loop. Yeah, it's checked. The luster of the leather, the topography on the tags, to the straightness of the stitching on the sole. Everything you can see, and even some things you can't.
Really?
Then they tag them, log them in the system, box them up, and ship them out, with no cost for the buyer or seller. eBay checks, so the moment you open that box is as real gets.